I've got to clean up this milk I spilled because the dog's licking the cabinet. I didn't realize I had gotten it on the cabinet.
Hello, I'm Karalee.
And I'm Charles.
We're an old married couple who enjoys traveling, cooking, and having adventures.
Together, we enjoy all the wonderful things the world has to offer.
Join us as we discover the wonder about us. Chin chin.
Hi, we're doing taco mac and cheese tonight. And so you cook your shells or your it says macaroni, I use shells. And go ahead and just cook them al dente as you normally would. Now, the directions asked for a 12-ounce package, and I had a 16-ounce package. So I went ahead and made the extras, and I'm going to put the extra in this piece of Tupperware. And so they don't stick together. You can add oil to your water ahead of time so they don't stick together. I did not want to do that in this case. But so I'm just going to take out part of these shells, and I'm going to add some butter to them. And then that's going to melt down, and I can have that put it in soup, or just have it like that, or add some pasta sauce to it. So that's going to do that. So we're gonna save the rest of these shells for what we're doing. So you're in the same pan that you just had your pasta in. We're gonna make some people call it a roux, some people call it bechamel, some people call it a white sauce. It's just all it is butter and flour and milk, and it's the basis of a lot of recipes. So a half a cup is a full cube of butter. And like I said, we're going to use the same pan. There's no sense dirtying more pans. And even if you had put your oil in there, it's all right. So we're going to go ahead and melt our butter. You can see the butter started melting because the pan was warm. While we're waiting for that to melt, we're going to go ahead and get a couple other things together. The recipe calls for 4 cups, of warm milk. I've never warmed my milk when I've made the white sauce or a roux. So I'm not going to do that either. I did take it out of the refrigerator, so it's a little bit warmer. And then it's calling for a half a cup of all-purpose flour. I'm going to try tapioca flour. I have not tried making a roux with tapioca flour. As many of you know, I'm supposed to be gluten and grain free, so it'll be interesting to see how this works. And it doesn't have to be exact, because we're just going to make a roux out of it, and we're going to be adding it slowly. So if it doesn't come to the right texture, we'll just stop adding it. So we're gonna. My pan's still a little too warm. So because we're doing such a large portion, I'm going to go ahead and add some of my flour. Okay, so you can see the flour's all blended. There's no lumps in there. So now we're going to add the milk, and I forgot this measuring cup doesn't work so well. And again, we're going to add it gradually. I suspect if you warm the milk, I hadn't really thought about it, you could probably add it a little bit faster, but it still needs to blend. You don't want it to lump. So I don't know that it would help that much. Usually this recipe is 2 tablespoons. It's 2 and 2, 2. So it's 2 tablespoons of butter, 2 tablespoons of flour, 2 cups of milk is what I usually use when I'm making like chipped beef on toast or something. And you can use a regular whisk. You can use like this little Pampered Chef whisk. You can just use a fork. You can use a spoon. I usually use just a tablespoon from my flatware, but because this is a larger portion, I decided to go ahead and do that this way. I've got to clean up this milk I spilled because the dog's licking the cabinet. I didn't realize I had gotten it on the cabinet. Don't cry over spilt milk, right? Is that fun, Jane? Then the recipe calls, I'm pretty sure it's going to say put the cheese in next, but let's, yeah, so then it says slowly add in 3 cups of cheese. We're just gonna go ahead and put in the 3 cups. That one's a little shy. A little extra since I was shy on the one.
Now we've got more cheese.
What?
Now we've got extra cheese.
Exactly. Now, I wouldn't suggest using the whisk again because it's going to get kind of stuck in there. So it's easier if you use like a spoon. And we're just going to kind of mix this around. And you're going to want your cheese to melt. So it's the same concept when you're doing fondue. You don't want to rush it because your milk and your roux might stick to the bottom of the pan if you overheat it too much. So we're gonna go ahead and mix this up. Now we're gonna let that set a minute because I'm gonna do something a little extra. I'm gonna add some sliced jalapenos. And because we like it a little spicy. Now, you can buy nacho sliced jalapenos, and then these are pickled in, right, Charles? I always get them mixed up. So explain the difference between pickled and not pickled.
Pickled means it's just like a cucumber pickle. It's been soaked in brine and pickled.
So because I think that all ones that are in the jar are pickled.
Usually, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're almost never not pickled. That's what the preserving process is all about.
Okay. I might not. I might. Let me try one more time over here. If you get a lid that sticks, if you make sure you have a nice flat surface, you don't want to do it on your granite counter because if you hit it wrong, it might crack the counter. Just go straight down. It helps pop that seal, that safety seal, and then voila. It's amazing how that is. You can use a slotted spoon, and that way you still keep your juices in your jar. And this is going to make quite a bit, so I think I'm going to add that many jalapenos. And these are funny because they're saying that they're nacho slice, but that's pretty big for a nacho even. Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and add this in. Not yet though. Get this mix. It's all becoming a nice cheesy sauce. Charles, what temperature does it say on there?
375.
I forgot to heat my oven, and I also forgot to get a 9x13 pan out. So you want to get your 9x13 pan out. I keep some other pans in there. It had a little dusty stuff in it. And go ahead and spray it. Okay, this is nice, and the cheese is almost completely melted. So, I'm gonna change the way this. They talk about layering this. I'm gonna make an easier step. So we're gonna go ahead and add our jalapenos. We're gonna add everything in rather than layering it like lasagna. It's just gonna be easier for us. And then we're gonna do a can of diced tomatoes. And I'm gonna go ahead. Leave the sauce, take the sauce. Let me think a minute. It does say drain them.
But at this point, this is not the cheese sauce.
Really, yeah. And then I'm going to add a can of diced tomatoes. And I always buy the petite diced because that way they're already kind of, I hate to say bite-sized because they're smaller than that. But they're already those smidgen pieces, so they're nice. They're going to blend more, and you're not going to have a big chunk of tomato. If you like that bigger chunk, then go ahead and use like a stewed tomato. We're going to fold this together. And then we've made our taco meat ahead of time. It says about 1.5 cups. I think we're gonna have to layer part of this because my pan is getting kind of full. So I'm gonna put in this whole pound of taco meat, even though that's a little bit more than 1.5 cups. because a little extra meat's not, can't go wrong with that, right? So this taco meat, I just made it with Mom's taco seasoning, and then I made 6 pounds that day. And if you use a 15% fat or less hamburger or turkey, you can do it right in the crock pot. You don't have to drain it or anything. And then I've had this in the freezer, and I just brought it out for this. Now, you can see by putting my tomatoes in here, it's kind of some of the tomatoes are kind of melting, so it's changing the color a little bit. But that's okay. That's okay. I know. This would be a fantastic dip. If I was going to make this in a dip, I'd use a little bit less milk, so it's a little bit thicker. And so it just stays. It sticks to the. It'll stick to the meat. Stick the chip a little bit better. Again, this talked about layering. I'm not going to layer. I'm going to kind of cheat. I'm going to put my pasta in here. And I didn't put oil in. I didn't think about how long those were going to sit, so they're stuck together a little bit, but that's okay. Not too much. This is going to be a heavy pan. Lost my hot dog. And we're just going to pour all of this on top. Scrape that pan out. And we kind of want to make sure that the cheese gets down. And this is kind of like, oh my goodness, this looks so good, doesn't it, Charles? Yeah. You can put tortilla chips on top. You can add green onions. This is nice and blended. It says to add extra cheese on top. I don't think this needs any extra cheese on top. Maybe the second time I heat it up, I might add some extra cheese to kind of get it crispy on top. But I don't. What do you think? You need?
I don't think it needs any extra cheese. Yeah,
I think this is pretty cheesy. And then that's going to go in the oven. And my oven, because I forgot to reheat it, is not quite ready yet. So we'll put that in the oven, and let me make sure that I did everything I was supposed to do. It also says you can. So it actually says stir the pasta into the cheese sauce, and then you're gonna put in half of that, and then top with the meat and the diced tomatoes and the other toppings such as green onions and such, and then add the remaining macaroni and cheese, and then sprinkle with crushed tortilla chips if you like. I think it's easier to kind of blend it all together like this. Even my lasagna, I don't. Layering is kind of a pain in the neck, and particularly it's going to all mix in, and so this is easier. So then it's going to go in the oven for 20 to 25 minutes or until bubbly. So I'm going to go ahead and stick it in the oven now. So it's time to see how this came out. Let's look. I'm excited. I think this is going to be really good. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I didn't need that extra cheese. It's got all. What are you laughing about?
That's awfully bubbly.
And it got nice and brown, which that extra cheese would have done. Looks pretty darn good. I'm going to let this sit. It doesn't say let sit. It does say to cook until bubbly.
Okay, that's what you did.
It's bubbly. I'm going to let this sit about 5 minutes. So we've let this rest about 5-10 minutes now. So it was still bubbly warm. It's going to be good. A little bit more, Charles? I say, you know, fancy restaurants. See, I spilled. Of course, a fancy restaurant, they just wipe that down. When I first read this recipe, I thought it was going to be like macaroni. What's that? Cheeseburger macaroni. But I think this looks much, much better. It's going to be really hot. It's pretty good. It could be a little spicier, but it's really good. I'd make this again, definitely. I'd put a little bit more jalapenos in it, and I think I'd take those crispy onions and put those on top. And that's it. Enjoy.